Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites.
Who can come and salvage?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
Access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
Welcome to ATN Open Conversation. Open Conversation is a flagship political platform through which we bring you trending political news, event stories, and we discuss this with stakeholders. Now, through this conversation, ATN uses these political talks about specific issues, party system, and actors to explore hope and engender positive impact to the society. Today, on ATN Open Conversation, our first point of call is in Bayelsa State. INEC security agencies are shocked.
And we have Ajakadinai stepping down from Gobe race.
And party politics, I will come back to you right after the break.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for immediate release of this minister.
Two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable
Order statement.
no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Welcome back to ATN Open Conversation, everyone. If you're just joining us, it's time for Open Conversation. Now, in case you need to run or you're on the way, you need to keep watching. Not to worry, all you need to do is log on to our Facebook or YouTube platforms and you can watch us live there right now. That's Atlantic Television Network, or you can watch us live on our website, atlantictelevisionnetwork.tv, or better still, download the app from the App Store, ATN Live, and watch us live. And do well to share with your friends. But it's time for Open Conversation, and the man on the show today is none other than Gochuku Oputa. Good to have. What's that? What is the middle name? I forgot the middle name.
Tony or Tony, whichever you remember. They are both mine.
Anthony. That's what I forgot, everyone. By the way, welcome to ATN Open Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And you're looking very much like a Rivers Elder. What's going on? Is there something we should know?
I think we're reflecting peace. I'm reflecting peace, and I'm reflecting tranquility, and that is where we are right now in Rivers State. So,
okay. Are you reflecting peace and tranquility in the line of Simfubara, or the former governor and FCT minister?
Oh, when you talk about peace, Rivers State has been one of the most politically peaceful states in the last 3 years, 4 years, and we had some, turmoil here and there in last week, but currently we're in the era of peace, and that is what I'm reflecting right now, and that is what every well-meaning Riversman, every well-meaning resident in this state is clamoring for: peace, stability, political stability, and democratic advancement, also in terms of dividends of democracy.
Absolutely. We keep our fingers crossed and hope for that. Let's get into Bayelsa, everyone. The Independent National Electoral Commission and the security agencies in Bayelsa State assures Bayelsans of their preparedness in forthcoming November 11 governorship election in the state. The assurance was given over the weekend in a meeting between the chairman of INEC, Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in the state. Professor Mahmoud, while addressing newsmen in Yenagoa, said, "We have just had a meeting with the security agencies, and they have assured us that they are ready to provide the requisite security for the conduct of a peaceful election in Bayelsa State." He said, "We have a standing arrangement with the National Union of Road Transport Workers, National Association of Road Transport Owners, and the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria." He said this time around, the movement is going to begin 2 days to the election so that there will be ample time for the movement. And the security agencies are going to help the commission to keep watch on the transport providers so that they will open the polling units properly and complete the exercise properly at the polling unit. On his part, the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Tolani Alausa, said, "We are going to deploy not less than 30,000 police officers, including other sister agencies. We have made adequate arrangement for security for the materials and equipment that will be moved out of Yenagoa. We have 80% water, so we are going to be concentrated so much on moving materials across." Also speaking, the Commander, Nigerian Navy ship, NNS Soro, Commodore Abdullahi Ojebode, expressed the preparedness of the Nigerian Navy to create a conducive environment for the election. The Nigerian Navy said the Nigerian Navy is ready to support INEC as the lead agency in the election in Bayelsa. The peculiar nature of the state brings to fore the necessity for the Navy to offer its peculiar support due to 80% marine environment. Okay. I'm going to start from the issue. Kudos to know that INEC chairman was in Bayelsa himself to ensure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. But the issue of marine as the aspect, people, of course, 80% of water. So most of the movements are not going to be on land, but on water. I have a concern. I just lost a friend in the course of campaign, Perry Tukoi Jr., who is was working with APC's chieftain Silver, who drowned in the course of campaign in this area. So we're asking, with this maritime logistics arrangements right now, do you think that there are 30,000 police officers and all of these arrangements, do you think that with the short notice through which we do some of these things, that they are readily prepared in terms of sea pirates, in terms of conflict entrepreneurs who may want to hijack the process, because they just said that they're going to do that in 2 days' time. But she already gave information to this room that you're coming. Do you think that they are amply prepared for whatever is what security-wise and the safety of the boats or whatever they're going to use to move the logistics across?
Vivian, when you made mention of INEC chairman Yakubu Mahmoud, and I started hearing all he was saying as regards preparedness for the Bayelsa State election, it brought some kind of thoughts, like flashbacks, because this is exactly how INEC always sound confident, sound prepared almost every election. I've had experiences where I've been in front line of 3 elections. In fact, in the last, I partook in the Anambra State election on the front line, the governorship in 2021. I was also in the front line for the general elections of 2023. And I heard how INEC, step by step, regular updates, both from the publicity, the person in charge of publicity, and also the INEC chairman, how they reel out plans, airtight plans, And just like, I think that quote has been attributed to Mike Tyson, that every boxer have a plan until you receive your first blow, and everything crumbles. And just like that, on the day of election, all plans just crumble, and it's so that they could set up. They'll tell you 8 o'clock, they'll tell you this. And some places as much as 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, voting have not commenced. So for the case of INEC, I no longer take these their statements, they are seemingly reassuring statements. I no longer hold them, with much value, because there's a part I used in representing this, when I read Ben Carson's book, when they were trying to, do that surgery on 2 twins, on 2 conjoined twins, and he was like, when they allow the blood to flow on the children so they don't, die from lack of blood, that everywhere that could leak was leaking. So that's the case of INEC. So once Nigeria said, okay, election starts today, everywhere that would have error would start showing error, both from malfunctioning of equipment, both from card reader not doing this. So when you come to Bayelsa that have a pet, it comes with more logistic burden. In fact, Nigerian election, on the day of election, it's seemingly left to fate. So, but I wish Bayelsa State election would, come out with some level of credibility, general acceptability, and this can be, this can happen when you see the processes it takes. Yes, you have policemen there, you have the Navy in charge of which are the, military skilled with water navigation. You have the Navy, and like they clearly said, they'll be in the forefront of this. But then, when you have police and military personnel having to midwife this process, and when these persons, there have been stories of some of these persons being, they can be compromised. And
okay, my colleague is itching to come, but just before that, like I said, Fairway is a Bayelsan, a journalist who was working for Silver, and then just about 2 weeks thereabout ago, stories to he went for campaign because of this. I'm asking again, this arrangement being made now, telling us, oh, the Navy is involved, all of this, in terms of safety of the vessels that will be used to convey youth corps members, people who are other people's children, who are going to be as election personnel in the process. I'm asking here before the whole world, what safety measures are the Navy is always on the day the Silver's the boats that was carrying his people sank. The Navy are supposed to be around, isn't it? They're always around. So if there was no diver, nobody could do anything. So I'm worried because all of this conversation, I'm asking, do you think they have enough preparation in terms of, okay, safety of the vessels that will be used to convey these people down to where they are supposed to be?
Vivian, you have your answer right before you.
Are you sure?
It's just that we're hoping it's not what we should accept. Because the truth is that they clearly do not. There have been a series of elections. In fact, why I giggled when listening to you was a story from a core member that when they got to one community, during one of the elections in Bayelsa, one of these islands that you drive on boats for like 2 hours. The people just received the materials for them, told them to just sit back, give them, they would run the elections by themselves, and you gladly obey because you don't want to be.
Election.
You don't want to be
chiefs issues
exactly.
And all of
so
that.
There's been even lingering pocket of Christ. So it's and the election.
Peace along the line.
All right. So despite the irregularities and irregularities we've experienced so far in all of this, at least coming from February, March elections, we really have to get things right. Yes, we have to get things right. We can't continue like this. So, are we supposed to start looking at a situation where consequences, should be meted out on INEC and to actually, send a message to the bodies, INEC as a whole, because it seems like the major problem we're having actually comes from INEC putting their house together and giving the results as deemed necessary, from what the populace, the masses have actually done. Coming out to it's not easy for someone to come out for election, and at the end of the day, we start receiving results that are different from what people actually have in the clear that this is what we've done. So are we supposed to begin to look at consequences that should be meted out on INEC as a whole?
You see, I agree with you perfectly, and the lack of consequences is the reason why our electoral process has remained the same. If you want to discourage an act, you encourage the good act and punish the bad act, the stick and carrot approach. So how many? Let's take the March 2023 elections. We've seen people go to court. We've seen results upturned. We've seen, at least within the honorable hallowed chambers of the court, facts have been unnetted, results that were falsified to some extent. Beyond correcting the results, these results did not just change by themselves. They were actors. They were causative agents. So beyond correcting that, what did you do to those causative agents? You cannot say a man have died without saying who killed the man or what or who killed the man. So how many wrecks, INEC wrecks, how many returning officers, how many electoral officers have been serving punishment as enshrined by our electoral laws on the basis of their malpractice and fraud? How many?
So, but who is going to hold them responsible? Because it looks like, you just talked about the tribunal, it looks like the INEC, the political parties, those who go to court, are the parties who felt like they did not win. They won the election, and it was not the return certificate was not given to them. They are the only political parties and their agents and the candidates. They are the only ones who go to court. And they're only going to court for a particular reason. So now when they're out of the court, nobody really asks questions like, okay, I still go back to Kano, and we're going to see what the appeal court is going to do today with the 65,663 votes alleged to be invalid.
Wow.
Whoever the INEC official is in Kano State, nobody is talking about that. So when the political parties just go to courts, and now nobody questions these people, how are we supposed to have consequence management?
Yes, this is now part of the responsibility, citizens' responsibility, because first of all, someone spent a whole lot of money, lost elections, and then he's putting together finance to gather a legal team to seek redress for his result. And at the same time, you expect same person to you know, get a lot of to now start tackling punishment for why that is expected. That is also the purpose of the Nigerian state. The Nigerian state has laws.
Office of the Citizen, you mean?
Not just the citizens have their role where they have to ensure that things are done, challenge irregularities. But then, outside the citizens, the Nigerian state have laws that it ought to protect. I can't kill somebody and expect that until maybe the person's relations take me to court, I have to pay for it. No. That's why if we have force, armed forces, and people that ensures that the constitution are enforced, the police can pick me up anywhere, even without any official report. You know, it's not like EFCC where people have to say, we tell EFCC this man is stealing money. EFCC say we're waiting for a petition before we act. You know, that's some kind of technicality. But no, the Nigerian government should be bothered that persons, part of INEC, that they pay with taxpayers' money, are, you know, corrupting, influencing, sabotaging our electoral process. But the problem is that the government, most times, end up being filled up by the beneficiary, become the, you know, beneficiaries of such irregularities most times. And so you can't prove yourself. In this country, the President Yaradua, admitted that the processes that brought him to power was flawed.
Yeah.
You know, he admitted. That was like one of the most honest Nigerians we had. But then, after admitting, would you now chase those persons that their actions or inactions gave you the position you have today? So we need to look at it. There should be some civil rights organizations and all that. People need to take on this responsibility to ensure that electoral offenders are brought to book.
We're moving straight to the next conversation we have before us now. The All Progressives Congress in Akwa Ibom denies that Etekamba Umoren, the state's resident electoral commissioner, is an ally to Senate President Godswill Akpabio. In a press conference in Abuja on Sunday, the chieftain of the party in the state, Eseme Eyibo, said Etekamba Umoren is a bureaucrat. He served in Akwa Ibom State as a permanent secretary. He is a career civil servant. He was chief of staff and then SSG, not to serve a political party, but a government, he said. I have also seen that he wore the uniform of APC. The law is very strict and there are a plethora of Supreme Court cases on who is a member of a political party. The member of a political party must be not just a card-carrying member, he must be in financial standing with that political party. He must be among the registered members, and prescription has nothing to do with uniform or mode of dressing. For you to take ordinary mode of dressing, the member of an organization is not determined by their clothing, but by membership of that organization. Every organization has its criteria for its membership. It is not true. It is speculating that Etekamba Umoren is a member of the APC. That is not correct. Eyibo added that it is possible that the photograph in circulation was generated by artificial intelligence.
I think we're at a time where blame it on AI will be the next slide.
That's exactly what it is.
Whatever it is, blame it on AI.
Okay. All right. So, well, Etekamba has a lot to defend. Etekamba has a lot to warrant, you know, to actually answer this period because though there's a defense coming in his favor, but we just let me leave it to you to give us your take on this.
Well, you know, former Governor Wike would say, this is politics. You know, and it's politics, you know, because you have someone made a wreck, and you know they said that he's an active party member, you know, and to his defense, he have told you that this is the AI, that's not him, and the truth is, I feel that part of this compromises the integrity of our institutions, you know. But then again, if we as individuals, as citizens, on our own, persons of integrity, we wouldn't have been having this fear. Because if you have if you have integrity, personal integrity, and then they bring you in a position that you know that your bias or alliance would compromise your actions or your judgment and all, you excuse yourself. That's what is expected, But then most times that action, you even got to that position deliberately because of that your alliance and bias, because of something you have to offer. It's just a sad tale of he who pays the piper detects the tone. And the other party, they are within their rights to challenge it, because if you have someone who is an openly party stalwart as the major decider, or someone who is going to midwife a process that concerns you, you'll be highly doubtful of the unbiased nature of what his actions would be. Because obviously by being, and this is a reason why I am told that judges are not allowed to publicly, have alliances and bias, because it might influence your judgment. If you're in a position of trust, you should be seen as unbiased, and I think the argument is quite all right. But then we also have to give room for a response and a counter argument, or for the same person to answer. And I think he has said that it's AI. Artificial intelligence have superimposed it. It's not left for us to say if it's true or not. But then it's the other way we can find out is through his actions. But before you find out through his actions if he is compromised or not, it's already too late. The deed has been done. So I think I don't know what our constitution or what our processes say as regards this, as regards person that will be picked as INEC rec. I also remember the case of this lady that wore this, I think she's in NDDC now, when she was once picked. Loretta, yes. I think it was it INEC she was considered for first. And there was this outcry, a full-blown party stalwart. Both physically, online, she never hid her bias and her position. And she was nominated for that.
So here is the argument here. Because over time, we as a people have learned to hit the nail on our feet and expecting that someone else's feet will get torn in the process. Okay, so he is not so PDP or Labour Party, because these are the two corporates now, decided to bring his pictures and use artificial intelligence, because that's the major kingpin that creates all the problems these days, and have him on different campaign pictures to show that he's a member of the APC. Why is Morin Etekamba not speaking for himself? If he is not a member of the APC, he is an adult male, an adult Nigerian who is being dragged through the mud. If he is not a member of the APC, why is the APC spokesperson the one denying his membership? Why is he not, if indeed he's not a member, why is he not the one defending himself?
Nice.
If you call me a thief.
The APC spokesperson. It sounds very funny, It's just like you're arguing that you're not a member of a particular sect, and the sect is coming out to defend you and say, no, you're not a member of that sect. It's also compromising.
When I'm an adult, who should speak for myself? So why is APC spokesperson defending Etekamba Morin, who should say, no, I'm not a member of the APC, or to say, no, that's not my picture?
If I was Etekamba, I actually think the APC spokesperson is out to sabotage me, because that should be one of the most untactical point of approach. Because how can you be coming to my defense? What's your interest? You're further solidifying the claims against me.
Why are you not his spokesperson? You're not the one speaking for INEC President Electoral Commissioner.
The Lord.
What did we miss?
The Lord God works in mysterious ways.
Okay. If you say so. Now there is more. The Labour Party have condemned the appointment of member of the All Progressive Party as a resident. There was a PDP 3 days ago, so the Labour Party is following suit. So the appointment of member of the All Progressive Party as resident electoral commissioner, saying that may take legal action against those concerned. The spokesperson for the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, Yunusa Tanko, said, I think the party needs to visit the Constitution and look at the options that are available for us because we cannot continue to allow such things to continue this way. There will not be fairness. These are some of the things we are actually asking for in constitutional reforms. If the constitution is being used in order to put some people in positions of regs, how do you expect such people to be fair? So we will look at the constitution and the position of what it says, and we will take it up constitutionally, and if possible, visit the courts to challenge it. He was speaking to a group of journalists represented by the Sun newspaper, by the way. Now, the Labour Party is threatening to take a legal action against the APC for Umetekamba Maren's appointment. But APC have come out to say he's not a member of our party. Are we expecting Umoren to come out to speak for himself at any time? Or is there any law that bars him from speaking, especially in such case?
I think I like the direction that of Labour Party is going, because this is what I had spoken about. We probe our constitution and see if our constitution is silent on this kind of issue. Because if there is a loophole, those who want to exploit the state will always exploit that loophole. You can't blame them for seeing that space to exploit. So I like the fact that they are going to look into our constitution and also look at what constitutional means is available for them to challenge that. Because it is until we do stuff like this that we can fine-tune whatever constitution we have for ourselves. If they take this matter to court, and then you ask the court, with considering the basic concept of fairness and justice, a man cannot be a judge in his case. So the court say, okay, we are silent on this, but this, this is how to improve. When the presidential candidate of Labour Party went to court, he said he is not challenging the election, but the process. So that at the end of the day, we're going to be beneficiaries of whatever the interpretation of the court would be, and it will guide. So I think that it looks like an anomaly that the party in power can appoint whoever they feel with their biases and all to positions that determine who comes to power. So sensitive positions like that is an anomaly. It goes against the tenets of democracy, as thought about by the philosophers and the founding fathers that brought it to us. It's an anomaly, and the constitution is there to tackle anomalies, and the interpretation, also the court, is there to properly give interpretation where there is void or misunderstanding. And I feel that what everyone should be doing in times like this is to challenge it, seek for interpretation. That is how we can better this country. Else we would just have gnashing of teeth, complaints left, right, center, and it will happen. And once one happens, it's now a precedent for whoever comes to power to follow suit. I think that's just
okay. Something just in my mind. The former governor of the state, he is a member, but that didn't really stop him from doing the things he did behind closed doors. Okay, for APC, and here he is, the FCC minister today. It's really a record-breaking result. It's amazing. But now we have Etekamba. I don't really understand why this matter should be dragged to this extent. Whether he's an APC, whether he belongs to, whether he's a PDP member or found carrying cards or placards or whatever for APC, I begin to wonder why that should actually be a problem when we had someone, he did what he did and he paid off for him. Are we supposed to be having this as a problem?
When we opened this conversation, I said if humans have integrity, stuff like this are not supposed to count, because there is what you do and what you don't do. You follow personal integrity. Your alliance shouldn't, even if it's your blood, your relation, your son that is there, you have a personal integrity beyond your bias. But then, the truth is, why it's of concern is that if someone brings you for a particular purpose to be here, you're naturally obliged to fulfill whatever that purpose that you're So people feel the complaint here is that the fact that this person was brought from a particular alliance, from a particular sect, there's a tendency that it might corrupt his unbiased stance that kind of office requires. So that's the concern. You know, if it was maybe something that required election, or something that required some kind of maybe the way you have to go through qualifications and all, you know, not appointment, you know, something that everybody had a fair chance, regardless of your bias. If the job in question that you're bidding for and you're qualified for it, you should be able to go for it and take it. But this one, it's done by appointment, and most often than not, it is recommendations by, you know, influential persons and powers that be. And yet again, this quote comes into mind: he who pays the piper detects the tune. So it is that compromise that the process brings that people are against, not necessarily the fact that people cannot have their bias and no, but you could be compromised at that point.
All right. Okay, we'll go on a short break, and when we're back, we'll continue with the conversation. Stay with us.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth: the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
That is amazing. Honorable human
point of order.
Honorable stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Conversation, everyone. There's a very critical conversation I think we must have on the show today. The Social Democratic Party is the flag bearer in the last presidential election in Nigeria. That's Prince Adewale Adebayo calls for an urgent electoral reform that will ensure that winners in any election are not sworn into office until cases against them in courts are concluded. So there is no time in the history of election litigation that the politician will be satisfied with the court case, with the court, because the court can only give you justice. Politicians don't want justice. They want judgment leading to power. So they see the court as another layer of getting power. But if justice doesn't land you in power, you say this is injustice. And the Supreme Court's emphasis on technicalities rather than the substance of the case with a particular interest or reference, if you may, to how President Bola Tinubu of Chicago University certificate was handled. He stressed that in election matters, there are three things to be considered. One, he said, for people who are not lawyers, everything about law boils down to technicalities to them. Two, the election matter is said to be subject to generis. It doesn't follow the traditional procedural, technical, and substantive form because election itself is technical. The whole jurisprudence of election is technical by nature. Three, he said, the claim of the party before the court was not a substantive claim. It was a claim based on technicalities because it came to court and because I came to court and said I scored the highest vote and I can prove it. That is substantive. If I come to court and say, well, the other person scored higher votes than me, but he is not qualified, that is a technicality. That is a technicality. He said he raised concern about the mode of appointment of both the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court justices, saying a situation where the president has the final say is not good for the country. He condemned situations where the National Judicial Council could only recommend things the president is at liberty to accept or reject such recommendations. So, from my reading of the Constitution, the president is even more powerful than any other person because he is the one who can appoint. The National Judicial Council can only make recommendations to the president. If the president isn't satisfied, he won't appoint, and that is the end. But if the president appoints somebody and the judiciary isn't happy, the person stays, though the person may have a hard time. Okay. I don't know if there's any other conversation we need to have on this board to begin to talk about now, rather than to begin to talk about these critical conversations. The electoral cycle, electoral processes in this country have become an embarrassment to our existence. And it's not just about Chicago State University or the FBI files attached to the president of Nigeria. It is the whole process. And I keep emphasizing on the Kano State governorship election, 165,663 invalid votes. How did such ridiculousness come about? And then the INEC official is just lounging somewhere. I wouldn't even know if anything is going to be done. Now, Adebayo is raising a critical issue. Should we all join in this call from every platform, whether civil society or not, social media platform, to say we want an electoral system where matters concerning elections are completed before swearing in of anyone elected? Is that a call we all should come on board to do right now?
Yeah, it sounds fair. It sounds within what we should understand as justice, just like I spoke the other time. It's, You know, if you know, the sense of, they say stay proceedings, for example. There's a quote I saw somewhere that if the leg of an elephant is on the tail of a mouse, and you tell them to stay proceedings, to hold on, it's injustice to the mouse, because the mouse is under pain, you know. So sometimes when the electoral process is designed in such a way that maybe a flawed process might announce somebody, you say once the reg make pronunciation, it can be challenged, you now have to go to court. But while you're going to court, this person is getting ready to go into...
It's very sworn in.
It's going to be sworn in, you know. And then when you swear him in, he now assumes the entire power of the commander-in-chief.
What is the essence of going to court?
Exactly, you know, so you give an undue advantage to this other person. So that's why in Nigerian election, they just tell you, I'm going to win election first. Get the announcement. People go extra length to, you know, try to buy over, or in some cases kidnap, or hold at gunpoint some of these regs, because once the word proceeds from their mouth, it's assumed law. Except for the case of Abia State, where that lady, you know, held her ground.
As well.
Held her ground, you know, and then she was like, no, this cannot go, you know, except for that case, where, you know, so, but on the issue of you know, when you see people, the returning officers and all that, making pronouncements, whether it's true or not, they just say make the pronouncement. Because, and that brings us to that other point, there's no consequences for that. You will say, this thing is like this, no, say.
So no. If I get you correctly, we should be asking for join our voices with Adeboye to say matters should be resolved before, and then demand for consequence.
Yes, consequence. But I have my reservations for Adeboye.
Okay.
You know? I think he could be clever by half. I have my. We also know within whose family, especially we politicians, also know within whose family Adeboye belongs to. He's being clever by half, because I know political family he falls under.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. But I think we get the point.
Yes. So and you could see that when he was trying to emphasize on the fact that the court can rule on technicalities, and even you coming to plead your cases technicalities, you say you cannot. We are talking about the Constitution. The Constitution stipulates how a winner should emerge.
Yeah.
The Constitution does not state that just the popular candidate would win. No, there is, you know, you have to win major two-third state, at least 25% in two-third of the state, you know. And the reason is for ensure that you have the decision, the cumulative decision of who becomes the president, carries at least a large extent of the representative or persons across the country. You know, so when people are coming to make an argument to say that when people are coming to make an argument to say that the fact you're coming to court and you're not saying you have the majority vote is technicality, is trying to lay down on whatever plea people made. When we say the court make judgment on technicalities, is if you are saying two things merit technicalities. You know, if you're seeing clearly that this case on its merits should go this way, but then you start looking for technicalities to knock it off. Sometimes they even strike out the case that the filing was not done properly, when you know that the case deserves its merit. You know, so that is, I think he's being clever by half. Why I sit inside Gary. So he's just pressing some kind of thing inside the move that we know what he put inside there. We'll take the good one and get the...
So which one are you going to take, the paracetamol or the Eba?
No, we'll take the Eba.
We'll take the Eba, leave the paracetamol.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Social Democratic Party candidate for the Kogi State governorship election, Alhaji Murtala Yakubu Ajaka Muri, has denied the line on November 3rd, 2020, and baseless, adding that it was the work of miscreants and the sinking ship of the ruling party in Kogi State. Ijele also stated that Ajaka is the candidate of the people and cannot step down for anyone at this point. It also accused the ruling party in Kogi State of trying to turn the SDP against the ADC, stressing that Kogites no longer want their continuous stay
in office.
Okay, all right. So what do we make out of this when people actually want to play politics to the extent of saying that someone has stepped down, but in real sense, because you can see the claim there. That's nothing like that. Clearly, nothing like that.
When you started reading this, the two words came into my mind. It's like an advice to both of you, which is fear politicians. Fear politicians. The truth is, this is just little. When you've seen in Anambra State, my state, when they announced that the governor had resigned, and there was a famous call Chris Ingige made to one of the radio stations then. My name is Chris Ingige. I am not resigned. So these things like this happen. Politicians go to great lengths, and within the game, politics is a contact sport. It's a game, and within the game, whatever you can do to either increase your chances or decrease that of your opposition, it comes into play. You at this point, you can't even really say for a certain which part of the story is true, because some persons, it could be, there could be some kind of negotiation where he has, and he'll be like, okay, let me pull out, they've given me this and all, and then have a rethink and comes out to say, no, I've not resigned, I'm still in the race and all. And it could also be that, these persons are trying to, diminish his cost confusion in his camp. But at the end of the day, anything is possible in politics. Anything is possible, and it's expected. If you're a frontline politician, you should expect things like this, and that's why you have to always be active. In fact, if you're during the 2022 PDP primaries, for example, there were rumors everywhere. This person has stepped down for this one. This person has stepped down for this one. We even saw letters. These are if I'll say it in local parlance, now they walk away with they do. So these are what politicians are expected of.
And like you said, fear politicians. Now, let's get to the major meat of the day. The former special advisor to the 2023 People's Democratic Party presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar Omar Ado suggests that the party may expel the former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, that is. Ado said Atiku might be expelled from the PDP if he fails to dump his presidential ambition. So he made the remark while noting that PDP governors have already dumped Atiku. Now you recall that Atiku had condemned the ruling of the Supreme Court, which affirmed President Bola Tinubu as the winner of the February presidential election. Atiku had vowed that he was going nowhere despite this aspect of the job is done. Amid his remark, the PDP Governors Forum had vowed to work with Tinubu following his intervention in the political crisis in Rivers State. Chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed, had also disclosed this after intervening in the crisis between the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara. However, a statement by Ado said from the PDP governors that they were willing to work with the President Bola Tinubu shows they have moved away from Atiku. Well, according to Ado, reading through Atiku's last Monday's press conference regarding the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment and his position towards President Bola Tinubu's presidency vis-a-vis the following day's communique of the PDP governors after its meeting at the Oyo State Governor's Lodge, it's obvious that the honeymoon between the party's 2023 presidential candidate and its governors is now over. In a separate address to the press following the communique, the chairman of the Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, extolled the leadership qualities of President Tinubu and reiterated the PDP governor's readiness to cooperate, support, and work with the federal government that he leads. Nothing else can be more explicit in illustrating the two going on their different and separate ways more than this. With these opposing positions, it's just a matter of time and not a distant future for the inevitable implosion to happen, and either Atiku steps down his presidential ambition or leaves the PDP or be expelled from the party. That's my reading of the political crystal ball. Okay, I was speaking with someone yesterday and I asked, do you think Atiku, I said, is Atiku going to contest the 2027 elections? And the person said, yes, he will. Didn't you listen to his speech? Which is what Ado is referring to right now, that he's going anywhere. And like I said, I'm not a politician. I honestly thought when Atiku said that he was referring to say, people usually say after elections, he runs to Dubai. I thought he was saying, I'm staying in Nigeria to work. I didn't know that this was what it insinuated. But Ado was Atiku's spokesperson for his 2023, one of his spokesperson for the 2023 election. If he's reading the crystal ball to me, and I wouldn't say I blame him, because just after Atiku's speech that Monday or thereabouts, after the Supreme Court ruling, PDP governors comes out to say we are weight behind Tinubu. In my head, I'm like, this is all well with the PDP, but here we are. Ado said his crystal ball says any moment from now, Atiku will be expelled from the PDP. Let's get to have your reaction to this.
Still in the series of party without any political office, you're like, what they call it, you're like a social club, So these persons have seen that Atiku have somewhat lost out, and immediately the alliance begins, out to the advice I've given, which I feel that I'm doing a whole lot for humanity by giving this advice. The next one is, it's one major skill you need as a politician to succeed in Nigerian politics is shamelessness. You have to be able to be shameless. Because you can see, within a split second, these persons are realigning. None of them want to be away from the source of power. In fact, one of PDP as a minister, in Tinubu government, we now have the governors of the opposition party also working in consonance with him, And in fact, I also got to know that through one of the statements by former Governor Wike, that some of these governors made nominations for federal appointments to the president, So maybe this is some kind of arrangement. And Tinubu is a very skilled politician. And one of the most important lessons from the book Art of War by Sun Tzu is the ultimate art of warfare is to subdue the enemy without fighting. And some of the way you subdue the enemy without fighting is by building peace and friendship. If you can convert an enemy to a friend, you've conquered the enemy without even fighting that person. So these are some of the approaches I think President Tinubu is applying, and these governors are also yielding because they have something to benefit from the process too.
All right. Actually, when my colleague was reading this, I kept hearing this song in my head: "A house divided against itself cannot stand." Yeah. And that seems to be a serious predicament regarding the PDP family for now, because I actually wonder why PDP for over time now has really not had that that synergy, that connection amongst themselves. And I wonder how far PDP can actually go, because first of all, I wonder what impetus they would have to, come out in the open to say that Atiku actually will risk being expelled from the party. I wonder why and how far they hope to go with this.
To add to that, just quickly, please, to add to my colleague's question, put all of this side by side. If they're able to pull out Atiku, is Wike coming back to PDP, is staying in PDP for the presidential 2027? Because he also said he's going to support President Tinubu. What will be the gain of the governors, PDP governors, to push Atiku off? And hazard a guess, like he said, you talked about shamelessness. Is that what is going to happen? You're the politician here.
Yes,
hazard a guess.
The modus operandi for politics is quite different. You can play politics by action or inaction.
Okay.
It's not always action. There are persons that just ensuring, when you mention the house divided against itself cannot stand. What if the goal is not for it to stand? What is that the political strategy? Because
so could that be the end of PDP then?
No, it might not be, but remember there's someone leading as president. Let's look at Tinubu, Bola Tinubu, while he was leader of ACN and then APC. Before APC, I mentioned before APC. He kept his block. But then, what happened during the Jonathan's election? His first election. Tinubu worked somehow, in quotes, you could work for a political party by not working against him. You don't necessarily have to work for him. Now, when the governor, some persons have made statement that they will support President Tinubu, even for second tenure and all, and then you hear governors making statement that they are, going to work with him and all, so it tells you that all they have to do is to ensure that the party do not have enough strength to pose a challenge coming the next election, and that's just enough.
Like my colleague said, what impetus is it? Like I said, is it to destroy the party, or do you see an article and some other aggrieved PDP members, old or new PDP as a case? I'm sure you know what I'm referring to, revamping the PDP to be something different, as to stand as an opposition.
Yes, they can revamp it, but everything has to do with timing. You have a president that is giving open arms. Some persons will have to wait for 8 years. After that, they will say, okay, we'll wait for 8 years. Let the party not come up now, because if the parties decide to, wake up now, it isn't a good time for me to be at the forefront. That's politics. It's personal interest, selfish interest. It's a game of interest. So these persons would rather prefer that, yes, let the party just stay afloat. After 8 years, it would be a good tool for us to have a new charge. The impetus, as regards impetus, you don't need any. The fact that you know that whatever you're saying is appealing to the man in charge, it's all the motivation you need. It's all the motivation you need. It's politics. It's about interest at the end of the day. However, one key aspect of all this is that this is the dangers of not having ideological-based politics. If you go to, the persons we borrowed elections from, if you go to the persons we borrowed what they call democracy from, you find out that the party lines are cut across,
clearly defined,
defined by ideologies. And if you're an ideological person, it will be you like you're skinning yourself alive to work against your ideology.
All right.
And so